Here we go. Oh, that's the video I sent you, I think.
Yeah. So it's rolling, and I don't know from where.
Welcome to Lethal Sales Live for the weekly podcast for car people who played at WIN. Nope.
So good morning and welcome, good evening and welcome, depending on where you are. I thought we would start today, since it's an HR show, with a video that I actually was just posted on LinkedIn from a car dealer. And I thought it was pretty interesting. So I'm just going to throw it up there. It's very short. I know we don't usually do a video on the show to start, but I thought it was interesting. So I'm going to put it up there. 1 second. And I'm not promoting this dealer by any stretch. It's just kind of an interesting video. So give me 1 second. I'll throw it up. Here we go.
Oh, baby.
It will be on.
Okay.
So that was an interesting video. The reason I put it up there is actually there's a dealer group in my area that does these videos, but they're not like people working there saying it's great. It's like, do you hate your job? Come work for us. So it's very, very different. And since Larry and Sandy are the HR experts on this show, I'm clearly not. I mean, what do you think about, and good evening, what do you think about a dealership maybe painting a picture as to what it's like to work for that dealership? I mean, from the staff's opinion. I mean, I don't know what you think.
I'll defer to you, Sandy.
I was going to say the exact same thing, Larry. Like, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I think HR's purpose is obviously to keep things from blowing up, and they want to be as careful and cautious as they possibly can be, within reason. But I think in some respect, guidelines are good because obviously it's very easy for things, as I said, to get blown out of proportion. So I don't really have a problem. Sandy, I think you'd agree that as long as HR is consulting with the managers and everybody's on the same page, I think we get into trouble in any department when we're not sure. Like, you don't know what I want and I don't know what you want, and we throw two different things out there that are completely the opposite.
It could very well be. I think, and thanks, Larry, and Ian, thanks. First of all, everybody, hi. There's some people I know and some people I don't know.
Hi, Sandy. I'm Gary Soman. We've never met.
Gary, it is so nice to meet you. And
Thank
other
you.
people I don't think I've ever met. Rhonda, I got to meet. Doug, we've seen each other at conferences, I believe. Mike, I think I've been on some. And Larry, of course.
Crossed paths before.
And one of my favorites, Russell Hill. And Ian, thanks for inviting me. I got to meet Russell in person anyway, but back to the question. It's so funny because Larry and I have a different view of HR. I don't imagine that. I feel HR for me is a customer service role. And that might sound a little strange, but all of my customers are internal. Like Larry said, part of my customers are the managers, right? Helping them do what it is that they need to do or navigate a tough situation. The company is a customer. right? They're my first customer. And the employees are my customer. And so back to Ian's question, you know, when all three can be happy, some magic happens. I've seen it, I've lived it. But Ian, back to your question, and I wish I had been able to see the ad, because I think ads like that are great. And the answer, that question that you said, what is it like to work around here? That's how if you ask your employees that, that's how you will know what your culture is. Not necessarily what the stated core values are, but how does it show up on a daily basis, right? And what is it like to work around here? And
let me guess, those two aren't really aligned that often, are they?
well, I think they could be.
Yes.
I think they could be, right? You know, I think they could be.
And that's all you're gonna say about that, damn it.
Well, we talk about the problem so much.
Well, you're an optimist.
Yeah.
You're a complete optimist, and that's what you can. When the culture meets, when everyone's working, and the owner and the lot person and the technicians are all on the same page, where the common goal is to make the consumer happy, those are wonderful environments to see, because everybody's engaged and everybody owns their roles. And that's when you have leadership. But unfortunately, we sit too much in dealerships that are just chaotic, and it's not leadership, and it's survival. And those are situations where all of us want to try to go and help them not be in survival mode every day, but be in thriving modes all day, where everybody's working together. And that's everyone's goal. And I just caught out of you is that you want to always try to find, you've got a positive look, because being in the industry, as Larry and myself, I'm not dating your time, you get a little tainted. You get a little tainted after a while. It's like, would you please, we made those mistakes in the past. Can we not make those mistakes in the future?
Gary, I'm telling you, I've been around since 1998 working in this industry. And I've been singing the same song.
Yeah. Okay.
And I do get tired, right? I do get tired. Well, 20 years of that, I was able to work for a dealer where those three things, everybody was happy. We had 23% turnover, right? Yeah. It was,
and everybody cared for it. And when there was a holiday party or there was an event, everybody went, and they knew the kids. And so the family part of it, you have generations, and those are dealerships that are wonderful to see, because they all care about each other, and you don't have the chaos as much in those dealerships, because they all want to work together. They like and enjoy each other. So
yeah, I honestly think, like, because dealers are customer service experts, right? I mean, what everybody
should be.
Right.
Could
we
be, might
know
be.
how to get customers. We know acquisition. We talk about that. And it really is so simple. Just turn that mindset to your internal customers, to the people who work for you, because they're your customers too. And when you can look at them that way, it has the power to change things. And you're right.
Andy, all you have to do is get the managers aligned with the salespeople and the back office aligned with them. I'm at a dealership in Texas, and it couldn't be a better position. The GM, who's a great guy, is at an NCM meeting, 20 group meeting. So he gave me the GSM, who's a super good guy. Everybody that I interviewed 30 people in 2 days. He shook their hands, so they had a, kind of like EMI in reverse. And I taught my class from 9:15 to 2:45 Central Standard. He sat in for every minute, heard everybody, and interacted. So it really makes life easy, because I don't have to explain to him who the people are. He knows. And I explained to them, this is really a rare opportunity, because you've got a manager that cares enough to sit into every minute and the guy above him will be back in it. He would have done it if he wasn't in a meeting. So I think it's the sad thing. Russell Hill, my buddy, always says same thing as a lot of other people do, and I agree. You've got to adjust your mind to not I have to do this, but I get to do this. And when that's your attitude, when there's less eye rolling, everything moves. I've been a salesman and I've been a dealer, and obviously now I'm a vendor. And I'll never forget when I would go up to the desk. And Sandy, you know me well by now. Enthusiasm is never a problem with me. And they'd look at me like I had 3 heads and hit me with, yeah. Man,
Well, you got it this time.
yeah, you're fighting a war on 2 fronts, which is what did Napoleon and Hitler. You need to have enthusiasm, because enthusiasm builds enthusiasm, and negativity, we know what the hell that breeds. But it is doable. It is possible to get the right circumstance and the right people. I sent all my stuff to HR. They loved it because everything was clean and they got it ahead of time. So it's probably not as complicated. I think everybody has their own everybody has their own point of pride. And when everybody digs in their heels and wants it done their way to the exclusion of what makes the most sense, I think that's when you run into problems.
Yeah, we had a comment from Tony. Tony says hola from LinkedIn, just so you know. Tony Thorstad.
Oh, great. Hi, Tony.
Tony who? Tony who?
Tony Thorstad.
Hey, Tony G, what do you mean?
Cindy, you don't know Tony. He's in on all our meetings. We had so much fun last week. He spontaneously combusted. This is from the spiritual world.
I'm gonna have to go see him.
You know what, Sandy? I bet you do know him. You just have to see him.
The
He's
name.
he's on all the podcasts. He's a good guy.
Oh, then we may.
And we have
Larry.
If he's a good guy, I'm sure we met. Right?
yeah, we have Doug Reeves
Larry, something
as
just
well
occurred
on.
to me. If dealers would get it right,
and Abdul.
they wouldn't need they wouldn't need you, right? Like one thing I say to dealers and to clients is like, however many employees you have, that's the number of recruiters you have, because and if your employees are not telling their friends and family, come and work where I work, because it's so great, like I guess that was on that video, right?
Yeah, it's on the stream, so you can watch it after if you need to.
Yeah, you better find out why.
Sandy, 2 things. 1, I agree with you completely. And 2, I'm going to have Rhonda and Ian edit that part out. Any part where we don't need recruiters.
But I don't think you're in a Larry. There's
No trouble. That's the way
there's
they roll these days. Hey, we've got Doug Reeves, who's an infrequent guest. Doug, you know we always love to hear your opinion, sir. What are your thoughts?
Well, first off, if I may be a little bit late, but Sandy, didn't you recently just get married?
I did.
Well, congratulations. I saw it on LinkedIn. I was really happy for you.
Thank you. I'm super happy. Married my best friend.
So when it comes to hiring, it's funny. In my opinion, it all starts with a fit. Both does the hire fit the culture of the store? Does the hire reflect what we're all about? And hopefully that's really focused more on the customer experience than it is a lot of other things. And when we're hiring, are we hiring with the promise to give a career, or are we just providing a job? Because if it's the latter, then you're just setting yourself up for a whole bunch of turnover. But if the culture of the store is one of we develop, we promote from within, we make you better than when you come and see us. You'll be better off. You'll be better professionally. You'll be better personally, and you're going to be reflective of the culture that we believe in, and we take care of the customer. Then I think hiring takes on a whole different view. And I'd be curious what everybody thinks of that stance.
Yeah, I mean,
I think, Doug, you're right, but I think it has to be a very solid culture, because I think people today are much more transient in their thought pattern than they were. You know, it's funny. I made my career in Trent, New Jersey. Some of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life, and some of the brokest with the worst credit you've ever seen. Okay, my 700s where he was a 400, she was a 300, and we used to glue the apps together. This was the computers weren't as sophisticated back then. But I got to the point, Sam, where I would call the banks myself. They let me. I sold a lot of cars. I had great CSI, blah, blah, blah. And I remember a million times saying, what are you doing to me? Well, his credit's bad. I said, he's been on his job 11 years. All right. I could never get away with that because now people have 6 jobs in 2 years.
Right.
So you not only have to set a beautiful, strong culture, you have to make sure you can turn people around and make them understand it doesn't pay to jump around because you don't really build a following or your own career by being here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't you think that?
Go ahead.
But don't you think that part of the reason people jump around is because we don't do a good enough job developing them and enhancing their skill set? It's easy to leave when it doesn't feel like anybody cares about you getting better. But if they're constantly coaching and making them better, why would they leave?
You're 100% right. If most people leave because they don't like their managers, they don't like the way they were treated, rather than anything else. So I think probably the smartest move, you're all bright people, is let's fire everybody. It's Larry Feldman. You can reach me at Career Changers USA to replace everyone. I'm going to start fresh. Doug Reeves is a very bright guy.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
took a little liberty there, Doug. I'm getting over my shines.
well, the funny thing is, LinkedIn's a great barometer of this. I mean, how many posts do you see of someone who says, "Yeah, I've been at a place 20 years in the car business"? How often do you see that? Is it something you see often?
They're not on LinkedIn because they're still doing things with scratch pads.
Okay, 10 years. 10
They
years.
don't even have social media at all in that story.
I don't know. I keep getting email links from Russian cosmetologists that apparently own big companies. Only 2 months and they have 7 connections.
Mine are all in the perfume industry.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Ian, you told me the show was fun.
We're going to need an in-house HR person right here.
I'm a different kind of HR. I've been telling people this for years and years. HR starts with human. Aren't we all?
We've got my buddy Abdul.
Yep.
Yes.
Abdul, we always love to hear your opinion, my friend. What are your thoughts on what we're talking about?
Well, one of the great things that I stayed at the Browning Group for 18 years was, like I said, the culture and the happiness of pretty much a huge majority of your team members and sales rep, salespeople, technicians, you name it. And probably in my 18 years, I probably had maybe 2 HR visits with a disgruntled employee between 2 arbitrary traders. But you're so right. You don't see too many people nowadays staying at one place for too long because some people recruit from other dealerships. When they see somebody good, they grab them. So instead of you giving them a chance to go up and move up. And that's why I stayed at the Browning for almost 20 years, is because I move up the ladder as an opportunity presented itself.
Right.
That one of the good things is that you keep a chart out of the way, is that you treat everyone the way you want to be treated, and that was my goal, and then my DNA to stay away from conflict as best as possible.
Okay, non-conflict. It sounds like you're up, Russell Hill.
So interesting. So we're in the process of hiring 7 new people, and that puts us like 41 employees. But our HR department it rivals, and the onboarding process that we have rivals a Fortune 100 company. And I've been told this by people that have worked for those companies. And make the process they go through, not only the hiring process, but the onboarding process, man, they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They're equipped. They have everything they need. It's all provided for them. They don't have any questions. And I think that's a critical, I'm going to say, Sandy, don't you think that's a critical step in longevity? You're on mute.
You're muted. Oops, sorry. Yes. Did you see my little reaction? I was over there clapping, and that's a huge part, Russell. So, and congratulations for getting up to 41 and having HR.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
it's,
Yeah.
I mean, we got training programs and, you know, all the benefits, and I mean, it's just like, that's really important to people because I have worked for the places years and years ago, because it's my 40th year, where there's your, I even had to provide my own pen. There's your desk, get busy. You know, and it's not that way today. And if it is, they're leaving soon.
And we had a couple of
Sandy,
comments.
my business has also grown exponentially, and I'm thinking of hiring the HR lady that was on that Coldplay video. And her feathers have already been ruffled. What else could go wrong?
I wouldn't do that. That's an HR nightmare.
Yeah, but when it's the HR person himself, it's like physician heal thyself.
So if you really know me, you know that I don't listen. Like I don't know. I couldn't name one Coldplay song. So I will go do my homework though.
Whatever differences we have, we've just erased them because we both could do without Coldplay.
I will figure. Who knows? I might fall in love.
Yeah.
Did Gary and Mike? Did you guys want to talk? Because I definitely have something.
We don't let Mike talk. Thank God I'm here to temper his wild outbursts.
I'm professionally muted.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Michael.
And we had some comments from Tony. Unfortunately, people have to jump to get an increase. If they're on LinkedIn, they're looking for a job. And like war, attrition promotes people. Go ahead, sorry.
Hey, we've all become, when talking about this, the CROs, our chief repeating officer. Yeah, CROs. I mean, on the first day when they are onboarded, a new person from the top down, it doesn't matter if they're cleaning the toilets up to the president of the company. They've all got to know their mission, vision, values on day one, or else they're going to be soon walking out the door. And we keep on repeating this, and yet it's like they go round and round and round. They haven't defined and they haven't shared their mission, vision, values. It's I mean, the revolving door.
Welcome to the car industry, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, very simple, but yet it's resistant. I mean, it's poo. Oh yeah, we have that all covered. You do? Do you have it written down? Do you have it on like on the walls of your showroom? You know, I mean, it's just poo-pooed. Oh, that's all BS. What?
Do you see, Sandy? Poo-poo, BS. This is what I have to deal with.
A lot of
I'm out of my church as a deacon, and this is what I have to deal with, which is odd because I'm Jewish. Keep going, Mike.
I mean, the core values, vision values, the business strengths, your competitors. That happens in day two. Your competitors, who's your audience. The key differentiators, what is making you different from the guy down the street? And if that's not shared, you're asking for that person that's going to be working for you to kind of, you ever hear the statement, hey, that team would run through a brick wall for that coaching staff? That's who you want. And you're not going to get it without sharing your mission, vision, values, your business strengths, and your business persona, your personality of your business, the brand story. Where did this all come from? The messaging. I mean, it's poo-pooed and it's all fluff talk, but it's the most important thing to the success of any organization, or they're going to ignore it and they're going to get what they're going to get. And unfortunately, in this industry, they're successful in spite of themselves. They're making money in spite of themselves. And that's just bizarre to look at it from the outside looking in. What's the fix? I don't know. Just keep on repeating ourselves like a broken record. Oh, I said record. Oh.
This is so much fun. I swear this is so much fun. And Doug talked about fit.
Let me jump in.
Oh, go ahead, Gary, sorry.
Larry, in your
Yes, sir.
classes that when you go in recruiting,
Mhm.
what is the mix of candidates today? What's the mix kind of? Young, old, women, men?
I had, today, I had 17 people.
Okay,
I had, I'm just doing a count in my head. I had, I had 5 women.
okay,
I
Great,
had
great.
some black folks, some white folks, some young folks, some old folks. I had a little bit of everything.
Okay.
I think there's still people out there that want to work, and everybody wants to be part of a team. I think that's ingrained in our DNA. We all want to feel like a part of something. It's why good cultures and good onboarding work, and why people very quickly feel disillusioned when they feel like they're on the outside looking in.
Okay.
You see the pictures I post.
Yeah, no, I see the
Good man.
pictures, and so now when you leave, some of them continue to grow. Do they need you to come back quicker, or are they taking and turning these seeds into blossoms and taking what you've done and continue to build them with the training?
The right answer there is it depends on the person and it depends on the dealership.
Okay, so now it depends.
Right, and now in this specific instance, I was there at this place a few months ago, and I got 4 salespeople hired. 3 are still there, and they're doing fabulously.
Great, they're part of the mix. They're knocking down 12 cars, maybe 17 cars.
And Gary,
they're a value.
That's because the managers nurture them.
Yep.
It's because if you
Fun, no bad habits.
I
I'm
trained them right.
not going to let you get any of the bad habits.
Yep. And but we all know it depends on the situation. We've all been in dealerships that run smooth as glass, and we've been in dealerships that are so dysfunctional, we question how they stay in business.
Well, but to this now, to my point, is that we used to just want warm bodies on the showroom floor to handle things. Okay, well then we got what we got. Today, it's time that the dealerships start realizing that they need to take young professionals and people that want to learn a skill and learn how to sell automobiles, not how to sling cars and swing a whip and do this. It's like, no, you're coming in and see, that would be better served in every dealership, that the culture is beginning and that everybody in that store, you can't have the senior guy that doesn't do any of the things that he wants and lets everybody, until the owner shows up, nothing happens. So they are getting what they deserve in the places that aren't paying attention to their people need to be first. It's the people who are the face of the dealership. You can have 2 salespeople, you can have 20, but they all better treat the customer the same way. And that's where you don't have that today. And that's where your training in HR finally buckling down and the owner finally taking responsibility is that you don't want to have this turnstile. You want to have, if you need 7, if you need 10, well, you got to constantly be working for it. But look for the diamonds. I see wonderful young men and women now. And, they know now not to go to college. They don't need to go to college and get suffered with debt. And they can go into the auto industry and they're entrepreneurs right out of themselves. You see these wonderful people where they're on YouTube. They're promoting themselves. They're showing how they're making customers happy, and they're building an audience. How hard is that? And one last stop, and I'll dry. I was on a call today. I actually sat on another conference with the Agile Auto guys.
Oh yeah.
J.R. Toothman was on there, and they asked him, J.R., you're a successful dealer. What do you want? And he goes, all I want to do as a dealer, what dealers want, we want to sell cars, we want to repair cars, and we want to make our customers happy. that recipe, when you work in a dealership that has that recipe with a leader like JR, I mean, you've got gold, and that's why they're breaking records, because you have a leader that cares.
They also supposedly, Gary, I've heard, have a very handsome recruiter, this Feldman guy.
Well, good job then.
Well, Larry, we got a question from Tony from LinkedIn. Tony Thorstad, he says, do you require managers to attend your training?
I request. It's tough to require because think about it. The managers that have to be asked can't really be bright enough, because why would you want to not see how the people interact with me and interact with each other? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is like saying, Sandy, do you help your kids with your homework? If you're not helping them, if you don't inquire and say, how are you doing? Is there anything I can help you with? So it's tough to require, because do we all agree that the best way to get a child to do something is to tell them not to do it?
Yes, exactly. So let me ask a follow-up to Tony's question, and maybe he's thinking it. What would you say the split is with what you do of management that does attend versus the percentage of managers that don't and buy in?
Almost every manager that I've ever worked with comes in the class for a while, because that I do require. I make them come in for a little bit of time. I won't take no for an answer. The unusual thing today is the guy met me at 9:10. We started at 9:15, and he sat there till 2:30. That's unusual. But I require all the managers to come in so I can introduce the people, have them speak a little bit, and make them feel comfortable and acquainted. I don't understand guys that pay me a lot of money and say, just tell me who you like. I don't have to work with them. You do.
And Larry, the store that you went back to that had 75% of the new hires that were still there, right? It's the same store where the manager stayed at the whole meeting.
It is.
So is there a correlation in your opinion? Because Tony asked what percentage attend. Is there a correlation between retaining those
100%.
staff?
There's no way I do a deal where a manager doesn't pop his head in. I guess the correct answer, Tony, is how long do they stay in? I always get them to stay in a half an hour. My preference is that they would arrange the schedule, since they know when I'm coming, so they have enough coverage so they could stay in longer. But, do we all agree that all we have in our life is our time and our attitude? Russell, I know how many people you have as clients, and it's scary. I got 7 employees, you got 44 now, and yet I'm handling 150 dealers. The band's recording more stuff. We just got more stuff in a movie. I'm still playing tennis and basketball 3-4 times a week, and I'm happily married. And somehow I have enough time to do what I need to do. So I think we'll all agree, without any disrespect, a lot of managers have manageritis when it comes to time.
Managers-itis.
They're always busy. Now, listen, I guess if you're busy, you're busy. But I think, considering that we lean on our salespeople and we need our salespeople, and the longer they stay, the better it is, right? You would think that they would want to put the initial time in.
Well,
I think Mike got people first.
Well, we used to go back. Years ago, I'm going to go back into the 90s. When the training
Flashback. Hang on, wait a minute. We're going to the 90s.
When the
Don't
training,
take any drugs, Sandy. We're going to have to report you to our internal HR department. It's a bad enough Larkin's in trouble.
Magic carpet ride.
What happened in the 90s stays in the 90s. That's all I know.
Right now, we got the HR department just turned us into a Vegas.
right. So right. We'll leave all the rest of it. But 1993 to 97, I worked for Herb Chambers in the Greater Hartford dealership, which was Mitsubishi, Mazda, and Hyundai, and we were right on the other side of the tracks. So we had Larry's kind of clientele. You had decent, and then you had, oh my goodness, how are we going to put them in a car? But what we would do, we had people that spoke Spanish, and we had all kinds of ethnicities, and we, as the F&I managers, would sit in on those trainings, and we would make sure at the end of the trainings that we stayed in there, because we wanted them to know our process. And we wanted them to understand that, hey, do all your things like this, but when it gets to you're writing it up, we would take them and we would say, okay, now we're going to teach you how to TO and how to do pre-walks and promote our VSCE and do all the wonderful things. And that was a dealership that was continuously training and trying to get better. And those are the places that you can see them. You can see the ones that want to get better and the ones that don't. And Larry, the dealers that are hiring you, they want to get better. So that's great because it's support. And that's all it needs to be. It needs to be from the top all the way to the lot kid, that everybody is delivering on what they're supposed to do and give good customer service to anybody who wants to buy or repair a vehicle or get any information. That's the customer service. And I think Sandy has jumped in on that. The dealers just need to be like Disneyland. I mean, not the bad of Disney, but the good of Disney. So I'll leave on that. I'll stop on that.
We'll stop on that controversial topic.
Yeah. How does it always lead that I got to go down there? That's the rule of holes.
Yeah.
Stop digging.
Yeah, squirrel. So, I mean, I've been doing a show for 6 years. I've done my share of HR shows, good and bad. I've done all kinds of topics. Obviously, we had some comments from Tony on why people leave and that they have to leave to get more money or whatever, that kind of thing. Obviously, a couple of years ago, they were making plenty of money, but they weren't training them on anything because people just walked in and bought cars. What are you seeing, Larry, that's changed through that time frame where we now have people that we got to train them up, but more importantly, they got to work harder to make that money that maybe they were used to making 2-3 years ago?
I think what we fall back on is attitude. If you enjoy what you're doing, if you make it a nice enough and constructive enough environment, and the people like doing what they're doing and how they're doing it, I think money becomes a byproduct of what you're doing. If you're only in it for the money, if people feel that you're a big dollar sign to them and they're squeezing the life out of you, how are you ever going to be successful? Think about how, and we all know this, I'm just stating the obvious, how foolish was it during COVID when everybody made an obscene amount of money to not say everybody's rich, everybody's got money stashed. Let's take a little time and train. Because when better to train than when you're feeling good, you don't feel like you're getting beaten up or lectured. But instead, a lot of people were like, this COVID thing's going to last forever. We'll be fine. So I think if we convince people that this is where you want to be, you're part of something, and if you come here, you'll feel a part of something and you'll make a lot of money, I think we get to be in good shape. COVID, if you think about what COVID did to our industry, the change in how we market to customers, how we deal with customers. I mean, can you imagine 20 years ago, I'm sitting in a restaurant with any of you guys and we're saying, yeah, we'll get to a point where nobody will come out of their house and people will want to work mobile, and then nobody would believe it. It's like a scenario out of a bad movie. But I think inevitably, we're going to see more and more of a return to human beings. I recently had a small problem with an electronic issue. I know that's hard to believe with my tech capabilities, but I called a couple of people, and let me tell you something. I was ready to kill somebody the 9th time I spoke to a robot. There's no button to push. Just put me on the phone with somebody human. I'll even take a stupid person. Just somebody that breathes and has blood running through their veins. I think at the class I had today, I did all my usual crazy stuff. Nobody moved the muscle for 3.5 hours. They didn't want me to stop. How cool is that? But I got back to, do you see what I'm holding? A pen. Sand, when I have this huge chart, name, phone number, and email, so the HR can track them and the managers can track them. I stopped doing cursive 20 years ago because I wanted people to be able to read exactly what I said. And I told them, I'm not typing you into a computer because I've seen computers get hacked. I've seen programs dissolve. I said, if you can write things down, if you can answer your phone, if you can make eye contact with people, if you can genuinely listen, you're going to be in great shape. Yeah, let's use all our technical abilities. Mike Larkin's an AI expert. Let's use AI, but let's be human.
He said that, Russell. I didn't.
We're so starved right now for human contact, desperately starved. And I don't care how upbeat, this is a pretty upbeat panel, but we still have our bad days. And think about when you're really having a rotten day and somebody's nice to you and it completely turns your mood around. So I think we grasp the future, we use AI for what it's worth, but I think if we can convince people you're a part of something, okay, and now is the best time to let who you are come out, approach people, be professional about it, but just be welcoming and friendly. I think that that will make all the difference.
I only have one pushback. What you said, Larry? One is everybody likes to be on a team. Everybody likes to be on a winning team. I went through my childhood being a Red Sox fan, and let me tell you, they were losers. But I didn't switch to the Yankees. That's the key. Tell them,
I believe you also rooted for Mussolini in World War II. I see a trend here. It's fine.
You know me well.
At least the Italians didn't trade Babe Ruth.
Larry, you touched on something that I think maybe got glossed over a little bit, but I don't think it can be discounted. The psychic income of having a good job far outweighs the economic income of having a good job. And the best stores that we have in our company that we work with, one of the things that they make sure that they do is they connect with their subordinates on a weekly basis, one-on-one, 15 minutes. And the focus isn't necessarily on work. It's more like, how's your life? How are you? What are your goals outside of this? And oh, by the way, let's talk about work. But they look at the whole person, not just the work person. And I think that plays a big role in this.
Doug, you're completely correct. And I think let's jump off track to get back on track. I think it's a sad thing. It's a sin against God not to fulfill your potential. And one of the potential things that I don't see used enough is the power a manager has to empower a salesperson.
Yes.
Managers would regularly say, "Hey, can I see you for a second, Doug? How you doing, man? I got all the faith in the world. Well, I'm a little, is there anything I can do? Hey, maybe I'm not doing a good enough job." A little encouragement. What I see mostly, and it's very sad, is guys do something fabulous, and the manager, instead of saying, "You're my champ," they go, "Yeah, about time you did something right." Shakespeare called it damning with faint praise. If we listen, Rhonda, tell them if I'm talking out of school here. Rhonda is my marketer, okay? And I'm not bragging. I'm proud. Rhonda has told me a zillion times she loves working with me. Why? Because I always let her know she did a great job. I always appreciate her, because I do. And I think a lot of these managers do appreciate the salespeople, but for some reason, maybe it's insecurity on their part or whatever, they'd rather have the distance as a separation of power than to realize the closest thing you can do is get your team gathered around you, and where they support you and you support them. So I think you're completely right, Doug. And Doug, keep in mind, okay, I've been in the same band with the same drummer for 40 years. And the next argument we have will be the first argument. And if you can deal with musicians, I'm the only one in my band that's not stoned all the time. So I
gotta watch out for those drummers.
Man, my drummers, man, you couldn't have a better guy to be a person with. He's the principal of the school. He's the perfect drummer because his personality is as solid as his backbeat.
He likes gummy bears.
He what?
He likes gummy bears, though, right?
No, that would be Ringo, but until he got thrown out in the metal story. If we don't do one obscure Beatle reference, Tony's not happy. Matter of fact, Yoko Ono made him put up that picture of John Lennon. Paul McCartney's still pissed off. I bet he hasn't spoken to you in years, Russell.
So I have a question for Sandy, and Larry, I've asked you this before, but I'd like to get Sandy's opinion.
Okay.
What do you see as the difference between the pool of prospects today in their 20s and maybe what they were like in the 90s?
So That's a great question, and actually,
No foul language, Sandy.
no. Actually, I don't have any and I'm laughing because, the pool in the '90s, I guess, would have been me, right?
Yeah.
Which if you Google the whiny generation, you will find a Newsweek article that you would think, if you take pieces of it, excerpts of it.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, if I may. I just want to say goodnight. I had a little something come up and I need to exit, but if no one told y'all that they loved you and appreciated you, I just did, and I'll see you next week, okay?
Thank all of you, my friend.
Rock and roll.
Russell,
Thank
so good
you.
to see you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
So anyway, what I was saying was basically generations. I think that the older generation automatically doesn't like the one coming behind because they're younger, right? So I think that, again, maybe this is me and my, who said I was a positive person? It might have been, was it you, Mike? I don't know. Somebody said that I'm.
It was Gary, but I think
Oh,
you're
Gary.
a positive person.
But maybe
You're okay.
I guess I am. I think that we have more in common than we have differences, right? So but at the same time, there are wants and needs that of the workforce today that becomes really important for organizations to understand, and they're different, right? And organizations to understand that. And then you talked about fit, Doug, right? Like one of the things was a fit. And I wrote an article a few years ago, it might have been like 4 or 5 years ago, like throw the word fit, throw good fit out and stop looking for the good fit. Figure out what you need to do to be the good fit, to be a fit for the new generations that are coming, right? Because no matter what's happening, I've known for 20 years before COVID that there was a labor shortage coming, and that's just numbers, right? We don't have enough working age people in the United States to fill all the jobs. Unemployment has been low for a long time now, and so in order to, and everybody really talked about it too, onboarding is a super important part of engaging your new hires and connecting them, right? Mike, you were talking about a lot of that, telling the stories, right? The origin story, and talking about that mission, vision, and the core values. And not only that, but following it up with stories about how those things show up on a daily basis in your store. Those things that are gonna create an emotional connection, which Larry was talking about, right? Like convince people that they belong and that they've come to a good place. The caveat to that is that you better make sure that what you've convinced them of is true, right? Because the minute, especially with Gen Z, right? What my belief is and my research about Gen Z, when the difference between Gen Z and say my generation, which is, I'm an Xer, I come into a new place with 100% trust that can be chiseled away at, right? Through behavior. Gen Z comes in with 0. They don't trust you from the start. So then you have to build with good behaviors, right? And that takes some doing. So, employers, I feel like, really need to make sure that their value proposition meets the needs of the workforce, which 64% of our workforce is millennial and Gen Z. I mean, I guess we can keep hiring boomers and Xers if that's what we want to do.
We get tired after a while,
Right, Rhonda?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this though, but do you find that the younger generation is as career focused as perhaps prior generations were? Or do you feel like I'll find a job, if it doesn't work, I'll find another one, and they're willing to just hop, and they don't, the long term, staying with the company long term isn't as attractive to them?
I think, well, here's what I think. So we're talking about Gen Z, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Gen Z, all the research shows, and I have a Gen Z kid. For many years, just my own experience with her, for a while I was like, oh my God. Until she found her purpose, right? This generation is a purpose-filled, they need to connect with something, right? And then kind of, you kind of can't stop them. Gen Z, the research shows, and you can look this up. It's not just what I think. Gen Z is very stability based, right? Like they want something stable, and they're worried about money, right? You have to remember Gen Z. Most of Gen Z's parents, they watched their parents lose their asses in 2007 and 8, right? So they remember that. And every generation, there's things that are going on in the world that kind of helped, and not every Gen Zer, right? But in a general way, you can kind of, it's the research is out there. Google will show you this stuff. There's a great book about generations, written by, oh my gosh, I can't think of her name, but I'll send it to you, Ian. Maybe you can send it out to people. It's called Regenerate. And it talks about the generations and what they're like in the workforce, what they want from a job, right? Like I've told so many people about this book because I think it's so important to understand. And look out, because guess who's coming really quick? Gen Alpha.
Right.
So I think that while there's differences, Larry said something that I think is important. I think that people want to work. I think that it's human nature for people to want to do well.
And to feel useful.
Yes, and especially that, and the millennial generation as well is purpose, right? They have to be able to see themselves, and the work that they do should align with with their beliefs, right? Like with their beliefs, whatever they are. So maybe one organization is a good fit or not, but Doug, you said something else about people with reasons for leaving, and I think Tony said something about that's something that every organization can find out why people are leaving. And we focus so much on sales. We haven't talked about accounting, we haven't talked about technicians, we haven't talked about the car wash, detail, all of the support things that happen, right? And I think that is a error, right? We have to start looking at our dealerships as an organism, because one doesn't really, lots of times I've seen friction because sales doesn't understand why accounting needs that paperwork so they can get the CIT going. You know what I mean? Or there's so much that we don't understand about each other, right? So anyway, that's enough out of me.
You're
you want
muted.
to chime in on that?
You're muted. He's trying to talk.
I think there's certain basic human needs, and one of the needs is to feel important and to feel useful. Unfortunately, many of us have seen older people that were of sound mind and body, and they retire and they wind up in an old folks home, and they start to vegetate mentally because they don't have a purpose. I bet you all know people, I know them, that made a lot of money and retired, and then they unretired because they get tired of doing nothing. The reason d'etre, the French call it. There has to be some purpose as to what we're doing and why we're doing it. And when you understand that virtue has to be its own reward because they stopped giving out trophies for it, that doing the right thing feels good because you're doing something. And I'm not talking about clap the eraser stuff. So whether you're young, whether you're old, I think we need to feel we have a sense of purpose. Doug, think about how many times we see somebody, they're stupid wealthy, and the daughter or son commits suicide or does a lot of foolish things. It's because they look at the parents' wealth, and instead of saying, I'm wealthy, they kind of have the feeling that they didn't earn anything. There's a certain inherent pride in feeling that you're useful and you've accomplished something. So it's just a matter of connecting the dots, and it's harder with younger people because they've grown up in a more transient society. When you look, if you compare now to 50 years ago, I mean, it used to be if you got fired on the job, it was like a death in the family. And divorces, I'm not saying it was healthy or unhealthy, but people stayed together even if they weren't super happy because divorce was considered a stigma. And we all know the result of a non-nuclear family when it's split parenthood, what it does. So I just think it's a matter of instilling in people that we appreciate you, you're needed here, we want you, and just make them feel important.
And I think a lot of it too is in including them in the conversation. I mean, I've had the benefit of working in lots of different organizations, lots of different scale, from big companies to small companies to small business to startups. And I'm actually in a situation now. I work for a company called VidCalls, and the owners and founder are our greatest generation, or baby boomers. And I'm a Gen X, as are some of the other workers, but there's somewhat of a disconnect just because of the generations, but not because of age, but because the technology pace at the younger end is so accelerated that I find a lot of the greatest generation or boomers they're feeling like things are just moving too fast, and they're more impacted than the Gen Xers.
So what you're saying is it's one thing to storm the beach at Iwo Jima,
yeah,
save the world, take your life in your hands, and it's another thing to try to operate a remote control for your television.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. One of the things we had to move on recently was moving from Outlook to Google Workspace, and it's like you took a brick out of the Jenga thing. It's like, what are you doing to me? What are you doing to me?
Wait a minute, Rhonda was nowhere back tonight because they're shutting down the AOL dial-up.
You know what? I was so shocked that they hadn't done that already. But if you want me to, I will do a replica of the sound because I could do it.
You know, I was just going to ask you, Rhonda, if you would partake in sharing with.
Yeah.
Listen, if Mike Larkin is requesting Rhonda to do the AOL sound, I say we all contribute and buy Mike Larkin cable, because he is desperately starved for entertainment.
You know, it was interesting. Somebody in passing mentioned like a holiday party. I know that in my former job, I used to get invited to a lot of dealerships' holiday parties, and the ones, it was invariably true. When you went to a holiday party and it wasn't a bunch of clans, in other words, service out with service, parts out with parts, but everybody was just with everybody, those tended to be the healthiest dealerships. Whereas the ones where everybody sat with their clan, they weren't, and you could tell there was no interaction between departments, and it was reflective in a lot of results that they generated.
So years ago, I realized I had the same problem that every dealer has. There was a fence, artificial, but a fence nonetheless between fixed and variable. And what I did is I did a contest, a three-way contest, not for sales, but I split the whole dealership up into three parts. Each team had salesmen or saleswomen, parts people, body shop people, and service people. And all of a sudden, people that didn't know each other or perceived they didn't like each other, tied together, stayed closer, and it do a lot of good. And it was just a simple contest where people that didn't know each other now had a common cause.
100%. And if you didn't ever have that chance,
What competition was that, Larry? The egg toss or what?
Egg toss.
That was combined.
Lucky horseshoe.
And combined service. All of a sudden, you had people that had never been down to the service lane in the service lane, and you had service people walking up front to their salesmen rather than grunting and saying go up front. It's amazing. You know, one thing about the car business, we all work our pay plan. And when everybody's pay plan can tie into a contest and win something and win money, it's scary how quick you motivate people by tying them together.
And if you didn't get the chance, Barry Jordan from a local Ford store did a piece on an HR show I did, and he talked about how they take their new hires out to dinner or lunch before they hire them to make sure they can treat waiters or waitresses properly. And that was probably the best thing I've ever heard.
It's important. Yes.
I suggest that actually,
That
like,
was impressive.
because my favorite book is called The No Asshole Rule. And well, I mean, I get to say asshole, but it is a wonderful book.
You said it twice.
It did. Because
There, Jar.
one of the ways.
Two things. One, you gotta contribute to the swear jar. We're trying to get a Rhonda portion.
Oh, okay, Rhonda.
And
I'll
second
tell
thing
you.
is, we have a house rule. The only book we're allowed to discuss on here, other than the Bible, is Inner Moron Demons.
Okay, so my favorite book is The No Asshole Rule, and I'll put double in the.
Okay, there we go. Look, Rhonda, I just worked her. I just did what's called an upsell.
Thank you so much.
Swear jar. But that is you're right, Ian. Like, that's perfect.
Oh, it was
You'll see
crazy.
how they treat people.
Yeah, because he talked about it and he said, you know that if they can't treat the waiter or waitress properly, it's going to be a problem.
They're certainly not gonna, yeah.
I never let my people talk down or boss around or be nasty to the lot porters and the detail guys. They were working harder more times than the salesman, and they were more essential at 9 o'clock at night when you needed a scratch taken out of a used car.
And we're out of time, surprisingly. Shocking.
Doug and Sandy, very nice to see you. Feel free to drop it on you'd like. Mr. Larkin and Mr. Silman, it's always a pleasure. And on behalf of Ian and Rhonda, we thank you. Abdul, you know you're my guy. I'll be talking to you soon. I'm working on some things for you, my buddy.
And
Looking forward to it.
Me too, Abdul.
Thank you.
And thanks,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Doug.
Public service
Good night,
announcement.
everybody.
Hey,
Sandy,
public
it was a
service
lot of fun
announcement.
having you on here.
Very
Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Larry, myself, and Gary are going live stream on the Big Idea podcast. So be there or be square.
Absolutely. If you need help, if you need technical help, let me know.
Just say some strange things about people's rectums. We're right.
Here we go.
Everybody stay healthy and have a great night.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
So great to see you all.
Recording stop.